Well, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at iFiber One News Radio. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Vicki Steele.
Good morning.
Well, Vicki, we got two great guests in studio today to talk about an important program and organization in Thurston County, the Thurston County Food Bank, and Heather Sundean and Robert Coit are here with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming on the air with us to talk about the Thurston County Food Bank at thurstoncountyfoodbank.org. Of course, we'll do the links to all these in our show notes. And the office hours are from 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. First things first, tell us where the food bank is in Thurston County, downtown Olympia, and who are the main folks that you guys serve on a daily basis. Robert, let's start with you.
So the traditional food bank is in downtown Olympia, 220 Northeast Thurston, and that was our core building about 14 years ago. But there's been a lot of growth and expansion, so we actually operate a food bank system with 19 collaborative partners that distribute food in other parts of the county, and they operate days and times we are not open downtown. And then about 3 years ago, we opened up a second building in Tumwater, which is a warehouse distribution center. And that's actually Heather's role. She's the operations manager for the warehouse distribution center.
So, Heather, what are some of the ways that you're able to get goods in and then passed back out? We talk a lot about these programs with folks and how organizations like yourself can leverage dollars coming in better aspects than just kind of a citizen. So tell me a little bit more about this distribution center.
That's right. We have some wonderful community support that gives us the ability to do food purchasing with donor dollars. And as you hinted at, that does bring some great benefits because sometimes we can achieve up to about a 40% reduction in price per piece by purchasing in bulk. And purchasing in bulk does take some space. So having a warehouse of that size is kind of a necessity in order to be able to do that.
So, unfortunately, I guess it sounds like for you guys, business is good. What are some of the increases you've seen over the years? I am downtown Olympia, and I see what the folks that are lining up and that come by. How has it changed over the last couple of years? What are you seeing as more needs come apart? And one of the programs I want to have you talk a little bit about is your 4 Kids program as well, Robert.
So I would say we saw the fastest growth, something we couldn't control, 2009, 2010, the famous Great Recession. And most of us in my sector assumed that afterwards, when things got better, there would be this miraculous decline to the days when we didn't have to work quite so hard. And the reality is that that's just not true. It didn't happen. So what we have seen is a decline in the pace at which the number of people we serve grows. So it's more like 1 or 2% a year as far as numbers of households, numbers of people. But the people that are coming much more often. And that's still 15, 20% depending on the year. So what that means is a household might in the past have come 3 or 4 times on average. Now they're coming 6 to 7 times a year on average.
Wow.
And so that's really the shift we're seeing is people are coming more often. They're more reliant on the service we provide. So that's a big shift in time.
When it comes to food distribution for individuals, how does that work? Is it a daily basis for them or?
So we have a number of best practices we've borrowed from other organizations. And one of them is called the choice model. So the client experience, the people that come to us, tries to mimic or mirror what you'd expect at a grocery store. So you actually select from the choices we have the food you take home. And the idea is to eliminate regifting, where I don't hide the famous can of asparagus in the bottom of a bag and it comes back in the next food drive. So that's really changed the business. The other big shift in the business is the amount of fresh and frozen products that are available. When you really think about your own purchasing habits as an individual, I don't have a lot of canned goods anymore, at least not what my parents would have considered normal. So the donations we get from stores, from vendors, follow that trend. Most of the food we get is fresh meat, fresh produce, ready to eat foods prepared that day, not really canned goods.
Oh, that's good.
Canned goods we'll get through a food drive just by its nature, and those are not as strong as they used to be, or we purchase it. Most of the money we spend, we're buying non-perishable foods. And most of our donations, the strength really of the service is perishable, and it's better food.
Do you have partnerships with the local grocery stores for the day after deliveries and things like that?
We do. We're partnered with most every grocery store in the community, and that is where the majority of the fresh food comes from.
Do people get a sense, maybe not, of how much food is wasted that could be redonated? I think at least with fresh food and vegetables, it's like 40% or something is just what we use, I think, is something like that.
Well, actually, it's an excellent question. I mean, when you really think about our business today, when I think about our business today, it's not really a polite term, but essentially we're a food recycler.
Yeah.
In the same way that 10 or 15 years ago, we were worried about aluminum cans and then plastic bottles. Essentially, a lot of our work is to divert waste, in this case food, from landfills and capture it early enough where it's great and high quality and able to give to people. And really, that's the food we pick up at stores. It's the food we pick up through contracts with different large corporations. And it's perfectly great, wonderful food. My best example would be frozen meat. And, you have to have a pull date, a best buy date. So at midnight, it's taken off the shelves, thrown in their freezer, and we pick it up later frozen. But at 11:59, it was still for sale.
Yeah.
So what happened during that minute as far as food quality goes? But you have to know, from a public health standpoint, you have to have some line in the sand at some point when you don't sell product any longer. And we're able to give out frozen meat and a huge variety of different things, and fresh vegetables, and seconds from growers in eastern Washington, and food from farm stands and local growers. And it really changes the nature of the work we do.
And then talk to me about how that changes the diets of the folks that you're delivering the goods to, and what fresh frozen meat is, or what fresh vegetables do and help, other than, high sodium canned foods.
Well, you go first.
Fresh food is often the item that low-income families miss out on.
Yeah.
If they're trying to stretch their resources throughout the month, they'll make sure they have the staples, the things that are going to fill up their kids' stomachs so they're not hungry when they go to school. And the thing that gets left off the plate is the fresh fruit and the fresh vegetables. So I think it's really essential that we're able to provide those things.
That is awesome, because it used to be like, rice and beans, canned goods, flour. Stuff like that, blocks of cheese that you would get from the churches or whatever. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
And those things are still available. It's just right next to them are all these other choices that
fresh
people
vegetables
can make.
And meat, and that's amazing.
And as a mission, as a core value, that's so important to us. We actually have a registered dietitian on staff and a nutrition education program that we run both in schools and on site to help kind of move people into healthier food choices, healthier eating choices, better habits. And, especially if you're not familiar with this, or it's not that people don't know how to cook, my personal opinion, it's that they don't want to take a chance on cooking something they're not familiar with.
Sure.
And then they find out it doesn't taste as great.
Good, and then you wasted a meal, perhaps, if that's what you're
or
thinking.
wasted a choice at the food bank.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And so the cooking demonstrations we do are really about taste this. This tastes good. Maybe your kids will eat it, and here's the recipe. Not that you don't know how to saute vegetables or something like that.
What about your need for volunteers? We'd like to talk and offer up the opportunity for folks, if they hear what's going on, for 1 second here. Sorry about that. Get past the top of the hour newscast here. We'll go right through ABC News. It's a good conversation that we're having. So talk to me again, I'm sorry, about, let's move to the kids and how the 4Kids program and what you guys do for the students in terms of also maybe some education as they grow up.
So we serve about 2,000 children per week throughout the school year with a kid-friendly bag of foods that they can take home in their backpack on a Friday afternoon to make sure they have things to eat over the weekend and are ready to learn when they get back to school on Monday morning. And we do take the opportunity to provide some educational materials in the bags when we can, other information about how families can make best use of other services in the community as well.
We talk with Saints Pantry here in Shelton about their backpack programs that they have, and it seems like Friday evenings with the meals supposed to last through the weekend often don't make it past Friday night. The whole family needs these meals as well.
Yeah, I think of the 4Kids program as a gateway program for us. What I'd ideally like is that the parents come to the food bank to get enough food to feed the entire family.
Sure.
But we honor and recognize that one of the challenges for homeless populations is transportation.
Yeah.
And the reason a school backpack program is so successful is because schools provide transportation. It's a big yellow bus. So it's a way for us to get information, referral information, resources to those families that might otherwise not be able to reach us. So it's a really strong collaborative partnership, and it works well. But it is challenged by how much food can fit in that backpack.
Yeah.
It's challenged by, it's a homeless population, so it has to be kid-friendly, has to be easy to cook. And generally, homeless children still have access to some cooking facilities. It's just, it might be a hotel room with a microwave.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
So there's a lot of inherent challenges in selecting the best food to send home.
Right.
And sometimes you have to compromise and do cup of soup because that's what'll work.
Yeah.
Right? And then I mentioned the nutrition education program. That does go on in schools. It's essentially a 9 to 11 session curriculum. And we work with the North Thurston School District primarily with that program. And teachers are essentially willing to allow us to take over their classroom for what amounts to a 45 to 50-minute session.
Wow.
And it's based on promoting healthy eating among those children. And, it's repetition, and those same messages are at the food bank and the same messages are in the school. But it's part of a greater initiative just to make the schools healthier and children get more opportunities to hear that.
Well, it's neighbors. They've been helping neighbors since 1972. This is right at the top of the website. ThurstonCountyFoodBank.org is where you can find more information as well as tax-deductible donations. We'll put the links here on the show notes when we post this interview online. A very important organization in Thurston County that does a lot of good. Heather and Robert in here this morning. It was really nice to talk with you guys about this.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
for what you
Thanks.
guys do. That's
Continue
awesome.
these
I love it.
conversations over the year, and as you have needs, send us the information, and we'll make sure we get the information out there.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.